Boom. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Rock Fantasy YouTube channel, Rock Fantasy Files. And hello, everyone. This is Stephen Keeler, your host tonight on yet another episode, which I've said already. And this is going to be one that I wanted to honor the legacy of legendary Canadian guitarist Frank Marino. I had the pleasure of being exposed to him in the 1970s with his music. What the first one I heard was actually the live album, and what I listened to probably the most when I first got into it, I think I might even had this first. I'm not sure. My memory's hazy from that far back. Is the Tales of the Unexpected. And I did get to see him a couple times. I got to see him August 6, 1978 at Giants Stadium, and I became a lifelong fan after his performance. He was opening up for Ted Nugent and Aerosmith.
Solid.
And there was a band that was on the bill along with them called Journey. Can you imagine? So Journey was the opening act. And again, I got to see them again in 1979 as part of the Pocono Downs Jam. And that was Pocono Downs Jam, and that was up in Pocono, Pennsylvania at the horse track. And that was once again opening up for Ted Nugent. Edgar Winter was on the bill, Blackfoot, and an unknown German band that at the first time in the States were one of the opening acts, the Scorpions. So one of my 70s style concert experience that was Campers for Miles. I also got to see Frank at SUNY New Paltz, a spring concert in 81. And I saw him several times at the Chance Theater. The New Paltz, SUNY New Paltz show was the same day. We went there in the afternoon. It was him playing, I forget the other bands, but that same night we saw Ozzy Osbourne, Blizzard of Oz, and Motorhead in Poughkeepsie. So that was a good day of rock. So he was a genuine rock and roll hero to me. His stage presence combined with his playing and imagery. And I was one of the kids that thought the rumor of him being reincarnated with Jimi Hendrix like spirit after he had a bad dream after an acid trip or something in the hospital was proven to be folklore, of course, later on. But in that time period, I thought, wow, this guy is just super cool. He's got this great imagery. He always had these capes on. He got up and he just was, I'd say, badass. And I've asked my guests tonight to pick their 3 favorite albums from his career and his solo albums from his whole career with a solo and or Mahogany Rush. This episode was really put together with my help of Denny Barth, who is, we got a couple Canadians on tonight. We got Denny Barth, we got Rick Labonte, we got Rand Kelly from the channel. He also was on the Sea of Tranquility. We got Jim Bacci, who's a first time ever on the channel. And of course, friends with Peter Pardo and has a couple bands we'll talk about a little bit he's got going on at the end of the episode and fill you in what he does. But I'm going to kick this off to Denny Barth because Denny has got the most amazing stories of Frank Marino because he grew up. If you can believe this, I had to call Denny when I first met him last year. It's like, wait a minute, you said that you lived next door to Frank Marino? And he goes, yeah, I did. So let's hear about that a little bit before we get kicked off. As we kick off.
Well, yes, I was exposed to Frank at a very young age. I'm from Montreal, but grew up in Laval, which is like a suburb of Montreal. And one of my fondest memory of my youth is like, used to have this guy living behind my house. Like my backyard was right attached to his backyard. And I remember seeing a guy shirtless, jeans, Marshall amp outside, SG guitar, and just like soloing like a freaking madman out there, right? And I mean, it would have been like probably like 72, between 72, 74. I was like 6, 7, 8 the time that I lived. And the only thing I remember is just the guy. Like I don't have memories of him doing riffs or anything like that. There's just constant like soloing and then I don't know if we were like more promiscuous back at that time, but like even though I was only like 8 years old, I remember already being interested in girls. And I noticed that Frank was always surrounded by a lot of girls. So like I thought, okay, if I can learn to do this, maybe I'll have success with the ladies. Um, the other thing is, I many times my dad yelling at him like, keep it down, shut it up. Like, I gotta go to work tomorrow, dude. Like, my kids are sleeping. Like, shut it up. And him and his brother used to have like muscle cars, like Dodge Darts and Chargers and shit like that. And they used to like do like and I never knew if it was his cars or friends' cars, but they used to do like so many like free will burning in the streets that like the street had grooves. So when we used to play ball hockey outside, like our like our stick handling improved because we had to go like with the ball through the grooves and stuff that they made in the street with those like cars. And in the winter, when it would freeze up, we could do the same with like pucks. And we used to go to the street, and they used to come and play with us. And like, it's just like they were like good guys, just like partying and like completely like, like it was the 70s and it was amazing. And I remember one of the memories I have also is that he used to listen to the Deep Purple and Rock album like a lot. I have like very like vivid memories of hearing Bloodsucker and hearing like Our Loved Man like blasted like, and I used to go to sleep at night and I could hear my dad saying like, shut the fuck music up, like, but and my dad was a principal at school. He was the principal at the school where they were going where they were younger. So he knew them from when they were younger and all that.
They were students.
Yes.
That's crazy.
So like after that, like like I never knew really until much later like who the guy was, like, and one time I went to one of my cousins and he had the Strange Universe album and I'm like, fuck, this is good, right? And he's like, well, it used to be your neighbor. I'm like, no, that's not like, I was not doing the association between the two. For me, I didn't know he was in a band. At his house, I've seen like Paul and Jimmy there, right? Like hanging out, but they never practiced there. It was just him, his amp, his guitar, shirtless. I've never seen that guy with a shirt. Like, of course, when it was winter, like he would never be outside and like, then he would go back inside the house and snow was like half the window anyway back then. It's like, and then when the spring would comes out, the amp would come out and start jamming again. I'm on the like Frank Marino Mahogany Rush, fans Facebook webpage, and I did post a story on there. And like a lot of people, cousins and Frank, like they say like we never knew that Frank lived in Laval, but the story was confirmed by Frank himself, like, because I finally like met him a bit later in life and be like, hey man, I'm the kid used to live behind the house and look what you've done to me. But yeah, like always been super cool with me when I met him after that. Like I don't think that he doesn't like people, but he's not the most like socially inclined person. Like he's not ever been in the public eye that much and not like but I just know he loved guitar and he played all the time. Like sometimes like I don't know. We used to play in the backyard and we used to play baseball or whatever, little kids, doing stuff and like, balls going over there and things like that. But I every time I met him after that, he was always decent with me, always laughing. Cause like I used to say like, man, like, you influenced me to like, become what I do today. Like I just want to hear guitars. I just want to be like my entire life, my only goal has been to play music. And I think that he did have an influence. And a lot of the music that he was listening to, it actually became like part of my youth, like deeper rock. I used to listen to a lot of Nazareth as well. Razmanaz album was playing a lot in that backyard. And after that, but he was also listening to like a lot of older things. And I remember like one of the, I think he had a conversation with my cousins, and he said to him, like, if you want to listen to another guitar player who really plays from their heart and like with the entire soul, he says, you got to check out Johnny Winter. So then after that, I started to check out Johnny Winter and became a huge Johnny Winter fan from like a recommendation from Frank. He had a lot of respect for Johnny Winter. But that's like, that's me living behind Frank Marino. I have no idea who he was. He looked cool. Like, he was shirtless with his jeans. He had those like boots with zippers on the side. Like every time I think of that memory, he's always like wearing those boots with zipper, no socks, zippers down, belt bottom, shirtless, soloing, mustache. I mean, he looked the same for like years after that. But that's it. That's the story.
Let's while you're up, I guess, how about you give us your 3 albums or 5 albums, whatever you picked out. I have a cross feed of 3 and 5, so whatever you guys got is fine. It's only a few of us.
Like, and after like similar to you guys, like I always thought like the Mahogany Rush should have been more popular and more visible. And I don't know if it's a management thing or anything, but I felt like after Tales of the Unexpected and What's Next, it's something that didn't click as much anymore. So, but like I'll go with like, let's go with number 5. I'll go with Strange Universe. Basically, I find like the strange, like from like Strange Universe to like Mahogany Rush 4, there's a transition there. There's something that it's almost like they leave the like Hendrix replica of music to become their own entity. There's a difference there. They started to record differently as well, if I remember correctly. They changed a little bit of their technique and songwriting methods, but like Strange Universe definitely for me is like where their sound was starting to really come into their own.
Totally agree with you right there.
Yeah, like I always think of the 3 first album as like Mahogany Rush, and after that it becomes in my head like Frank Marino. I don't know why, but that's how it happens. Strange Universe by itself, like officially, like Tales of the Spanish Warrior. I could listen to that song over and over again. I love Moonlight Lady as well. And Strange Universe, the song was great. Number 4, I would go with Tales of the Unexpected. It's a weird album for me because I didn't like that half was live, half was like studio. It has my favorite. Frank Marino. Like, well, it's not my favorite Frank Marino, but I love the All Along the Watchtower cover. I think I listened to the Frank Marino version more than the Jimi Hendrix, even though the Jimi Hendrix version is great. I don't know. I just think he brings
Frank is better.
Yeah, it brings its own life to it, and it's definitely for me like something that that always every time I put that album on, I would go with that song, and then some of the live stuff is actually pretty good as well. So Tales of the Unexpected, number 3, and definitely like not like always like a popular choice for a lot of people. but I really like What's Next, especially for the song Finish Line.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I put a lot of time learning that song on guitars, and then Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'd love if my band Aggressions would agree to cover that song. I don't know how we could pull it off, but like it's such that just like it's so Frank Marino. It's not even funny. So definitely, What's Next? Number 2, I'm gonna go with the 1978 live. One of like, a lot of people talk about UFO, Strangers in the Night, and Tin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous, and all that. But I think that Frank Marino live and Mahogany Rush live is another real contestant as one of the strongest live album ever made. Not always discussed, but definitely up there. I think it matches really well, especially like, a lot of the songs from the 3 first album on that record, like Talk About a Feeling, comes out like great in a live setting.
I always wish it was a double album though. Just like,
It was supposed to be, and it was recorded as.
Yeah.
Was it?
I heard a Frank interview when he said we supposed to be, and the label said no, we want to do a single record, but they had recorded all the other really Strange Universe and all those great songs for it, and the label wanted to put out a single album.
That's a shame.
We got cheated by CBS.
Yeah.
Fuck CBS.
Yeah. Well, Frank will be the first person to tell you that.
Yeah. But yeah, like I agree completely. I wanted more. I always thought like I always like wish it would have been like Double Live Gonzo, where you have like, like the
sure.
Gatefold sleeve. It should have been.
You know what? It's almost shocking that they did that. They had it all recorded, that we never got to see an extended version all the years later where it was reissued and came out, like sometimes, remastered.
Yeah, like they did with Cheap Trick. Like they did with Cheap Trick.
Yeah, great idea.
And Whitesnake, Live in the Heart of the City, was a single here and a double.
Yeah.
At least in the East also, they made one.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Let's see if we can push some right buttons to try to make it happen. I'll you never know. Like I know lots of labels that would release that. I would buy it. I'd buy 5 copies of it.
I'd buy 10.
There you go. That's 15 sales right now.
There you go. I'll buy a couple. I'll sell 10. I'll get 10 for the store. 20.
So, and my favorite one, and it's always been, it's Mahogany Rush 4. And it's not because of Dragonfly, even though it used to play on the Montreal radio, like you guys would not believe, and I never complain. But it's got like The Answer is really strong. Jive Baby is strong. Going Away, like
Moonwalk.
Moonwalk is great.
So great.
And you know what? Like I'm pretty sure, like some of the music there, like is definitely like them coming into their own sound and starting to really sound like Mahogany Rush. Like like to me, like they remind me of like the 80s King's X, like where like it seems like the band had all the ingredient to become huge, like excellent songwriting, good producing, good singer, everything, but somehow they couldn't pull it off. And like Mahogany Rush for me is there's a few bands in the 70s that had the same issue, but to me, like they should have been better. And I don't know if it's like better managed or like with guidance, but like I always feel like they could have accomplished so much more because the talent was there, the songwriting was there, and like the uniqueness of the music is there. It's so much more than what people say now. It's Jimi Hendrix, impersonation. It's not.
They were managed by Lieber Krebs, which is
so like
they managed Nugent and Aerosmith and everybody big. I don't know what happened.
I don't know, but so that's it. That's my top 5. Like I really like the Real Live album as well. Like as another. That's finally like a full. I think the performance on that is great. especially like when he does like a cover of like Tales of the Hero, like just on that album with the intro and everything. It's such a story of a hero. It's such a good good version.
The song also, I think it's from that live album. It's a song called Poppy, which is one of his best songs.
Yeah, it's from one of the earlier like Mahogany Rush album, but like the version of that, it's just like I wish that real live album, like I wish it would have been the live from like '78 and do packaging. But it's a great. I was at that show when it was recorded. I saw it live.
Oh,
and it was it was a great like memory. I seen Mahogany Rush. I would say maybe like 10 times in my life. That I saw them like I think it's like probably like I would say maybe 81 or 82. I saw them play in Quebec in some type of like, I don't know if it was like a biker party or something, but there was a lot of people there. I don't remember what it was not like a regular show. It was outdoor, and it was not like it was more like maybe like 200-300 people, and it was the one time I was able to get close enough and really appreciate the phrasing and the guitar playing. It's similar to Michael Schenker. Like when Frank Marino plays, it's like his guitar and him is one person. It's hard to explain, but it's like I said, Mahogany Rush. Spread the word. I keep like trying to turn people into them. A lot of people like Mahogany.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen to this, and they all like holy shit,
dude. I had that setting up this episode. I talked to so many people. Hey, I want to come on and chat about Frank Marino. They're like, I heard the live album. That's all I ever had. I'm like, okay, so we put it together. But
it is what it is. But looking forward to hearing all of you guys.
For sure.
Everything. So
I think I'm gonna move over next to a person that's never been on the channel, and Jim is a huge fan. And let's toss the ball to Jim there. Toss the record to Jim.
Okay, so I think I saw Strange Universe in the record store in the Corvettes record department. I was like 14, so that was 1977. And I was like, I turned it over and I saw a picture of Frank. I'm like, this looks kind of cool. I'm going to buy this. And instantly had my mind blown by that record. I told Dennis, I totally agree with you. I was thinking about this. And when we were talking about maybe talking to the guys in the band, I had this question. I think that's when they kind of transitioned. It's the transition album from when like, oh, this is these guys that sound like Hendrix to it was that transition where they started to get their own sound. And then on Mahogany Rush 4, I think they became their own band. But Strange Universe was the first record I bought. And I went out and bought every other record. I bought the live album. I saw them twice, both in 1979. Once at the Florida World Music Festival. My cousin lived in Florida. I grew up in Long Island. And he said, hey, you're coming down for Easter. There's a concert that week at the Tangerine Bowl. And Mahogany Rush is playing. I know you really love them. I'm like, he goes, I got you a ticket. I'm like, oh my God.
Nice.
Because, in the New York metro area, you never heard about him coming through. Like he didn't come through very much. Many people didn't know who he was. They didn't play him on the radio. The record stores, you saw the records in the stores, but not that many people knew about him. And I was like, I always looked for something cool that because everyone was like Pink Floyd, Hendrix, Zeppelin. Everyone listened to the same standard, 10 bands from 10 years ago. And I found that Mahogany Rush record and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I ended up going to see this show. The headliner was Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
Right before them, Aerosmith, and that was the Draw the Line tour. So they had the triangular drum riser with the pink fur all over it. And Cheap Trick, which was right after Budokan,
Yeah.
and Mahogany Rush, and then Blackfoot and Brownsville Station. So, and a
Wow.
local band called
Cool.
Hoochie, who sounded like Journey, but it was, Hoochie, Brownsville Station, Blackfoot, Mahogany Rush, and then Cheap Trick, and then Aerosmith and Ted Nugent. And that's the
Nice.
first time I saw Mahogany, and it was a 60,000 seat football stadium.
Yeah.
And I went with my cousin and a bunch of his friends, and one of the girls that went with us, everyone was smoking weed, and she turned around, she said, "Open your mouth." And I'm like, and she took I never experienced this before, a power hit where you put the lit end of the joint in your mouth and you blow the smoke out in a stream
Mhm.
and into my mouth. And I was completely wasted after that. But I don't know what part of the day that was. I know it was really hot, and I drank about 50 Cokes that day. Hot in Florida. But I got to see Frank, and he's wearing this cool, super like beige leather, jumpsuit thing.
Mhm.
And that was my first time. And I don't think it was too much later, probably 4 months. He opened for when Kansas sold out the Garden.
Oh.
When Point of No Return blew up and they were the biggest band in the country. He opened for them, and I saw him open for Kansas, I think August 1979. And that was the only times I ever saw Mahogany Rush.
Wow.
But those are my experience. And I was super fanatical. Like I would try the stoner kids at school who all like, "You're Hendrix, man." I would try to get on the bus and play them the Frank Marino kids, and they had no interest. It's like, you don't understand. This guy picked up where Jimmy left off and is 100 times better. In my opinion, technically a way better guitar player than Hendrix. I know Hendrix invented everything, and Frank basically kind of mimicked him. But when he came into his own around 76, 77, nobody could beat him until Van Halen came out, So I had all the records. I listened to them. I tried to learn the solos. I couldn't, but I tried real hard. So anyway, that's my history with Mahogany Rush. I'm super fanatical about that era of, the Jimmy, Paul, and Frank, and when Vince came in, at some reason, the power trio magic, it was lost on me. I was like, I liked him as a power trio. Vince is cool. He's Frank's brother, but some reason that magic number of 3, I loved it so much. But so I'm going to go backwards from 5. And I didn't put the live album in there. That's like one of the ones I listened to the most because I wanted to do studio records.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 5 is What's Next. And the first song on that record, You Got Livin', man, smokes. That's such a great song.
Yes, it does.
And, incredible album. The song Something's Coming Our Way. Oh my God.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Another amazing song.
Another amazing.
That
I mean, there's a couple of bluesy songs on there, and I like I'm a King Bee and all that. But I like when Frank is like either more rocking or more progressive and spacey. So when he does he uses synthesizers and lots of phasered guitars and all. I prefer that to the bluesy stuff. I like the bluesy stuff, but so like those songs, like You Got Living and Something's Coming Away, those are like real barn burning type of songs. And
right on.
So, that's my number 5. My number 4, the thing is, side 1 of this album is like one of my favorite sides of Frank, but the live side is good. And, Tales of the Unexpected has one of my favorites. This song, Tales of the Unexpected, is one of my favorites only because those guys do the most ripping jazz in that song. And it's like, nobody did that at that time. When they go into that whole bebop, and it's not just Frank, the 3 of them are just totally shredding. And I'm just like, these guys are like 24, 25 years old when they're making that record, And it's such a cool prog rock. It's like 8 minutes. I remember when I went to that concert in Florida, Frank was on the radio and he was talking about his new record that's coming out called Tales of the Unexpected.
Mm.
And I remember I had the cassette recorder. I taped the interview. I had it for a long time. And he was talking about, they asked him why he recorded All Along the Watchtower. And I remember the quote I always remembered from him was, well, Jimi Hendrix did that song and you do it very similar. And he said, you can't tell an artist not to draw an apple because an apple has been drawn before. And he said, I wanted to do it. I love the song. And there's an incredible version in Norwegian Wood on there.
Yes.
Amazing. That whole first side, and it's beautifully recorded. Sister Change, another one of my favorite songs. Just, it's basically like the next step of Dragonfly, real funky. That record is just, and the live side is great. It's like kind of your typical Mahogany Rush live sound, but the studio side of that record is beautifully recorded and the songs are incredible. 2 covers, I don't care, but 2 of the greatest Frank songs, Sister Change and Tales of the Unexpected. Amazing. So that's my 4th record. My 3rd one is going to be, and when I was 15, I had my friend, one of my best friends used to paint all the denim jackets for everybody. Everyone would pay him to paint their denim jackets. I got this put onto my denim vest. I had my Mahogany Rush World Anthem denim vest. And this record again, man, Requiem for a Sinner, amazing. In My Ways, incredible. Try for Freedom is a really nice epic way, closes the record out.
I love that.
World Anthem. Just this record is just, and there they are in the back, the Magic 3 guys right there.
Yes.
That's the holy triumvirate for me is those 3 guys. So that's my 3rd. My 2nd is the album when they really became Mahogany Rush, like you said, Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
This is the album that, and it's got the hits. The Answer, Dragonfly, Moonwalk. Man, what a cool song that is! Just total weird outer space, amazing. I've always wondered if that crazy solo part is a keyboard or is a guitar, because it sounds like a keyboard, sounds like a synth, but it sounds like it could be a guitar. I don't really know. But man, at the back door, I'm going away, man. What a great song. Played that, as recent as that Agora show, and It's Begun to Rain. I'm thinking when I hear It's Begun to Rain, I'm thinking like that's kind of his answer to the Rain song by Led Zeppelin. It really reminds me. It's got a similar vibe. I'm like, that's his Rain song. It's got Mellotron in it. Beautiful. Like all those great pictures of them in the studio in the back.
So much. There's a lot. I hear a lot of soul in his music too from that time period. It's like that soul mixed with just smooth and like you get a little jazzy at times. And
like this song in this album, this album has that song "Look at Me," which is like a smoky, like lounge jazzy song. Is
that's incredible.
And that's the one thing I always loved. Well, I remember when I was first learning guitar, my mom wanted to get me a guitar teacher, so she got this really super. I've talked about him on Sea Tranquility. This super nerdy jazz guy, because I wanted to learn to play jazz like Frank, and I put on one of the songs that he does. I think it was "Trying Anyway" from Strange Universe.
Yeah.
And he started playing right along with it because he knew how to do it. It was just full on. I was like, I want to learn how to do that. I would never able to wrap my head around jazz like that, in that way. So
that's cool.
That leads me to my first number 1. This album,
nice,
one of the greatest album covers ever. I mean, I think right there, where is it? Right there, it's got to be Frank walking his dog. You see him? The little guy walking his dog. It looks like Frank.
Yeah.
Now
I gotta look at mine.
Walking his dog. And great gatefold. This record has one of the most terrifying, scary songs ever of all time on it. "Land of a Thousand Nights." When I hear people describe Bad Acid Trip, it just like when I think of that song, it just sounds like a bad acid trip by description. I've never taken LSD, but I mean that song is just so heavy and so sinister sounding, and then that middle section where they got the detuned voice, you know, talking, and
Yeah.
just amazing. And then the song "Strange Universe," super epic. Dear Music, incredible, like just ripping guitar. And Trying Anyway, that's the one where he does the jazz thing. Every song on this record, Moonlight Lady, Satisfy Your Soul, Tales of a Spanish Warrior. This record is freaking gold for me. So, and that's the first record could have something to do with it. But when I go back and listen, this and 4 are my 2 really desert island Mahogany Rush records right there.
Yeah, brother.
Those are my 5 records.
And I just noticed that's not in my pile here, and I know I have the record. If I had it out here the other day, look what happened. It's not in my pile, so you're going to use it for a prop if anybody picks it up.
Yeah, I got it right here. So,
but cool. I mean, as you talked about that festival, almost like the stadium tour with Aerosmith. That was a spun off of the Cal Jam, too.
yes, it was.
And then it was a Texas World Music Fest was part of that, and we got it here in August of '78. But you said you didn't get it till '79 in Florida, so that must have been towards the tail. It must have been in you said Easter of '79 around, huh?
Easter, it might have been '78, but
It might have been. It might have been.
I've actually seen I used to have the tour book for it up until a couple of years ago. I lost it. There was a program for it. I had it, and I've seen it online, and it said '79, but for some reason I thought it was '78, because it depends, because Tales of the Unexpected was just coming out. So
what was the release date on Tales? I don't have it in front of me.
The date on the bottom says '79. So yeah, it was probably April of '79 when it came out. It was definitely
okay.
So
might have been the tail end of that touring cycle.
Yeah,
because you got different package.
Right?
You got a different package than we got, but I've heard of all weird packages. I heard of AC/DC on that tour in spots. Thin Lizzy, I heard on that tour. I don't know how promoters work different then. They probably said it was a tour in town. Hey, let's throw that tour on with, the stadium tour. The fond memories I have of that was one of the first football stadium shows I ever saw, and it was the second ever show at Giant Stadium. And I remember going there with my teenage friends, and the first time we had driven that far, out of town, and we got lost, and I remember pulling into the parking lot, and the sounds of the Godzilla movie was playing through there, like the TV screens in the stadium, because they used to play Godzilla movies on like Channel 9 or Channel 11 on Sunday mornings. It was a Sunday, and I remember going in, and you had your marijuana experience. Well, people behind us, we were up in the upper deck, and we ended up moving down lower later on. We snuck down there, but I remember the guy having a US-2 right behind us in the stands. Like nowadays, you get search going to shows. Back then, people would bring bongs, they'd bring beer balls in the stadium. It was just
wine pouches.
Yes.
The wine pouch, the suede wine pouch. People would bring their booze in.
Yes, remember that? Yeah. What a different time and facing it. It's funny you said you saw them outside, Denny, and then my first 3 times seeing them, all outdoor shows because of being part of these large touring packages. But that's how that just rang a bell. And before I went to Rand and Rick, I just wanted to mention that while it's fresh in my head, where that's how I really discovered them, is from Cal Jam too. Like knowing that tour was coming, and like Frank Marino, and you saw the advertisement for the live album, because that's what they were really touring off of on that. Yeah. And those guys got to play in front of giant crowds at that time, and it is amazing that they're one of the most underrated bands from that area, because they should have been as big as any of those. Because me as a young kid, I was more impressed by them than I was of Aerosmith that day. Aerosmith was kind of weird when I saw them in New Jersey that day. I don't know if they were too drunk or fucked up or what it was.
Yeah, they were definitely.
But Nugent was on fire, of course. But Frank Marino walking out, that was my dog in the fight that day. Journey was great too. But cool. Well,
that's what I learned about Frank is was the California Jam too. #2.
That's
And
what
it
I
was
said.
footage,
Yeah.
and it showed Frank, and it was around the same time because it was 1978, I think
That was the
California.
beginning of that, and then they shot a tour off of
Yeah.
it. Yes, and
Yeah,
I
so that's
waited
right.
all night for that, and they put him on. They, in the TV when they broadcast it on TV.
yes,
They waited for him to lie to sit through everybody else, and all I wanted to see was him. So
Right on.
and
And he only played Purple Haze, and then somebody else.
I know, and I don't care about him playing Purple Haze. He's got so many amazing songs.
is that
That
all
was
they
one.
showed?
Yeah.
Is that all they showed from that? Was the one song?
Yeah, I
Purple
watched
Haze?
it.
Johnny B.
I
Good
watched
and
it a
Purple
couple of
Haze.
weeks ago. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
waited and I waited and I waited, and it was really enjoyable. And Ted Nugent got like, I don't know, like 20 minutes.
But
But
see, that's
Sure.
part of the stigma about being caught with Jimi Hendrix is that the only footage some people saw around the world was him doing Purple Haze. But there's more to that, right? He was not a one-trick pony, as we know.
No. Oh,
as
well, you know
anyone
what,
knows.
Rick, since you're talking, I'm going to pass the record to you right now, and then we'll go to
Okay.
Rand and we'll follow up with me. So welcome, Rick.
All
Another
right.
Canadian on the channel tonight.
Yeah, well, Frank is a Canadian hero, and I saw his name a couple of times just in Windsor playing somewhere in town. And so the name was something I saw before I even heard him. And also having a name like Mahogany Rush and a band Rush out there, you kind of want to know who the difference of between the two. And so that was very common around my, you know, universe at that time. And so with me, it was the California Jam footage because I was like, you got to know my age. I was, born in 1970. So by the time I started getting access to all this music, I'm about 11, 12. Most of the stuff is already done. And when I saw Purple Haze and I saw what he did, and to me, he was like, it was interesting because I started looking back now having his album collection, and just like everybody said, there was that golden period, especially mid 70s right to the 80s, where he was playing music from people from 10 years ago, whether it's the Yardbirds or whether it's the Beatles or Chuck Berry or even B.B. King, which is older than 10 years of that time. But he sounded like somebody from the future playing it. You know what I mean? For that era, that was amazing to have that whole approach to the music. That was, I think that's why he didn't get famous because they didn't get it yet. He was a little, just the sound was so advanced. It's very interesting because it's just like Boston or anybody had that signature sound that they developed. Frank did have that. So no matter what he was doing for the tribute to the blues or anything current, he had his own spin on it no matter what. And I think it was great that his popularity did get to international only because he was one of those hardworking opening acts for a lot of bands. And so if anybody got to hear him, it wasn't because the radio did him any justice. It's because, hey man, did you see that guy that opened up for so-and-so? And so the word of mouth really traveled far. And he became legendary hearing it coming back to our own country, hearing everybody that do know Frank Marino as a real superstar. So I'm going to go with my 5 because that's what I was prepared to do.
That's fine.
And I included, what albums really hit the most. And I got to say, this was tough because if you know Frank and the band, you knew that when you're buying the album, you were going to get something of a package where he would be maybe a couple covers, do some creative stuff, do some fast stuff. I'm not saying that every album is the same. It's not. It's just that the wow factor, he never ceased to amaze me. Because every album I heard, I'm always going, wow, that was cool. And so it made it hard to rank these albums in a way because they're so close as being in par with a lot of the great production. And so anyway, I'm going to start with number 5 as the one that really kind of... not because it's low on the ranking or anything like that. It's a big, super album. Just I like these other albums a little better. But it's What Next? That's my choice. I think that was great. I think that the whole idea of the band doing their share of blues, because I'm a blues fanatic, but that's not my favorite stuff. But I do love their take on every one of those things. But we already mentioned the kick-ass songs, all right? You got Living, Finish Line, Something Coming Over Our Way. I love that a lot. And so do I need to hear Roadhouse Blues? You know, I've heard a lot of Rock Me Baby. Not necessary. But I don't skip it. I just let it go.
Great,
You know, it's not
great
like I'm
version
gonna,
of it. Great version.
yeah, it's a great version. I just appreciate it for what it is, and I like I like the tone. I like the guitar tone through the whole album, so you just appreciate it. It has its own spin, and just because his own amp has a different sound than anybody else did at that time or since then, to be honest. Number 4, I'm gonna go with the. This is a good album too, but I love the power of it, and it is perfect album title, Power of Rock and Roll. That's one of my favorite. That has a lot of excitement. Playing with my music, Stay With Me, Running Wild. I love that. It makes me want to run. The Crazy Miss Daisy, Go Strange, you name it. I just really like
Go Strange. Yeah, Go Strange.
Yeah, Go Strange. And I love the way it sounds. And vocally, I really love the way they mix it. My only problem with Tales of Unexpected is nothing about the song. I did find that the vocals is buried a little bit versus some of these albums. As they were getting closer to the end of the 70s, they raised his voice a little bit more. And, you know, but hey, it's not to say any criticism. I'm just saying that's what I appreciate about the album, because he is a strong singer. Yeah, and so I just thought, turn him up, man. Keep him up just like his guitar playing. Number 3, it's gonna be. This was tough because number 3 and number 2 are neck to neck to me. The way you guys are all talking about it, sometimes I had me guess, and I really literally had to flip a coin on this, because either way, they're awesome album. And I'm gonna go with number 4 for being number 3. Love this album a lot. And for all the reasons my brother already said, I'm going away, and The Answer, and Dragonfly, and Little Sexy Annie, that's amazing stuff. But it comes to number 2, it has to be this one, because some of the epic moments in this song, this album, it just had so many wow factors that I can't ignore it, and that was the World Anthem. And for all the reasons my buddy already mentioned, some of the songs he mentioned already, but the ones he didn't mention, I'd say In My Way, of course, the World Anthem, Look at Me, he said that, Ladies Cool, and like he said, Try for Freedom. What a great closer. To me, that's one of the highlights of the whole album. To me, I love that, you know, and it's just a way to close that album like that. What a great way to do so, because I think it is the grand finale. So what's number 1? Well, it has to be the one that started it all. If it wasn't for the California Jam and all that talk, one of the things I used to be into, and you guys probably was too, is the Columbia House order, right? You order a tape, you order the album, you order the CD, and this one was always there. And I love live albums, and this is my go-to album all the time when I was telling my friends, you gotta check out this band. So should I even include that? Because if I was going to go with another studio album, number 6 would be Juggernaut, I think. But anyway,
Okay.
live is in, because this is the game changer for me. I never heard anything, no note at all. And you play this, I felt like I was in the room, and I had my imagination, and because I used to always wear with headphones and the Walkman, and just walk and just listen to that, and I was like, wow, I can just picture the whole show. I did feel like there was more to it that night than just that. The crowd was crazy. So anyway, nevertheless, I became a fan, and that's when I started to do my homework. Then I have to admit, I really stopped listening to him up to Juggernaut. I think that's where it kind of stopped. But my favorite period is the albums I just talked about. And Frank was just amazing. I think he was very inventive. And like everybody was saying, the song structure, showing off, but being appropriate to the song. You know, making it, you're doing a good songwriting moment here, but you're also showing your incredible ability. Some of the dual guitars, all the layers of he does, it is spacey. And
Yeah.
so when I saw some footage, you actually see him with a spotlight, and he has that cape. To me, he looked like he came like beam me up, and he's from out of this world play. And then the next time they see him, they take the spotlight off. He disappeared, and it's kind of like it would be that kind of favor because the way he played, and he had the big space boots up to his knees, and he looked pretty far out. For me, seeing that as a young guy, I was thinking, wow, this guy's got more to it than that. You know, just like Kiss, it's just like some of those bands. The costume got me excited, almost like a superhero costume. I
Yeah.
got to check out this guy, you know. And so Frank ended up being pretty legendary from following since then.
Cool.
And I had tickets to go see him. Unfortunately, COVID happened. And then they didn't postpone. They canceled the tour altogether. But I had it on my bucket list to go see him.
Yeah, my buddy down here, Greg Woods, was actually opening up for him at the Chance. It got rescheduled twice, and of course, then Frank fell ill and couldn't tour. So
Yeah,
sad.
it was,
It is-
I'm going to see him in Detroit.
So let's shoot it over, pass that record over to Rand and get through that, and I'll wrap it up. And because we're running a little long on this episode, so but it's a fun episode. So we're talking about something that's in our hearts. Or someone that's in our
The
hearts.
reason I'm grinning and laughing back here is because I'm still trying to wrap my head around Rick saying my 4 is my number 3. I guess-
My 3 is my 4,
confused.
or my 4 is
I'm
my 3.
almost
yeah.
70, you guys. So it's like when I hear things like that, I goes, what?
Yeah, it threw me off for a second too.
Okay, so my history with this band is really weird. I mean, I first heard about Child of the Novelty at Tower Records of Sacramento. They go, listen to this guy. He sounds like Jimi Hendrix. And I go, yeah, he does. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then all of a sudden, my brother, is 6 years younger than me, he's listening to it in the bedroom. You go, have you checked this out yet? And I said, yeah, that's all right. And so I'm buying progressive rock like crazy, and I don't have a lot of money. So he was one of those, they were one of those bands that I kind of had to put on the back burner. So I didn't really buy a Mahogany Rush album until 1979 when I bought my number 5 choice, Tales of the Unexpected.
Okay.
And I had that LP somewhere, but I can't find it. Tales of the Unexpected.
Great
There
album.
you go. Thank you. Thank you. God, I love that cover. I was so attracted to that cover. I go, oh man, I think I'll buy a Mahogany Rush album. And
Yeah, that whole cover.
I noticed they changed the name because I had friends that had that live album, but I never really noticed it was Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush. But if you see that thing on Denny and Rick's, there, the Frank Marino is really small and the Mahogany Rush is really big.
Yeah.
And then you look at it, the Tales on the Unexpected, and it's not. I don't think it's so different. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. Oh, another thing, I want to address what Jim said about that song Moonwalk. I could wait till it comes up, but I could tell him. I think it's that Octavia, where it sounds really high, or he did what Les Paul did, was record a solo really slow and then speed it up to match the rest of the song. So it's an octave higher or 2 octaves higher, and it sounds like a tiny little play piano.
I didn't even think of that. That sounds like maybe that's what he
Les
did.
Paul invented so many things.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too about sound, Frank Marino's sound. The Columbia record company was hyping him as the only musician guitar player out there that had 15 guitar pedals on stage, all hooked together. More than Pink Floyd. So yeah. But
Wow.
anyways, moving right along. Yeah, Tales of the Unexpected. My top 3 I picked were Sister Change is number 3. Norwegian Wood number 2,
Mhm.
because I'm a huge Beatles fan,
Yeah.
and his arpeggiations, and for those that don't know what I'm talking about, it's going through guitar chords and from low to high.
With the
On
delay
Norwegian
on it.
Wood, it's so dreamy. I listened just yesterday, and I was like floating, and you don't get that from the Beatles song, but
No.
because of the sitar and all that. But God, Frank just makes that sound like a freaking
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just serene.
I love it
It's
when
so
he does
beautiful.
that stuff where he modulates from one key to the next key to the next key, that same passage of music, and it's so fluid the way he does that stuff. It's amazing.
Oh,
He's
the
a
guy's a
wizard.
genius. Is a genius for sure. Anyways, and my number one is Tales of the Unexpected. I first heard that and I couldn't believe when he goes into the clean tone, they're doing John Coltrane.
Yeah, full on.
I mean, it's like just absolutely blowing, you know. And I can't play like that. I just don't know how.
No way.
I'm a blues player who got into prog, and I do like blues licks in prog and go real fast sometimes. But God, I wish I could play like that. I just don't know how. I can't go that fast. I just not with that kind of precision. I mean, I can go fast, but what people used to call that slop. What I do. I've been playing guitar since 1965, so I kind of give myself a break. You know, I'm kind of stuck in my ways. Anyways, my number 4, nobody's mentioned it yet. Maxum. Maxum.
The creepiest album
believe-
cover of all time.
I never heard that album until like 3 weeks ago when we were getting ready to go for this show. I love it. And I'm gonna buy all these. I will. But what I'm saying is, that is the craziest intro I've ever heard. And I've got Dolby Pro Logic surround sound in this room, and I just crank it, lay on my bed, and just go, "Wow, man, this is so spacey."
It's scarier than the Land of a Thousand Nights.
It's frightening as hell, and you hear this, boo. It's like every now and again, it sounds like somebody's getting their head chopped off every
it's so scary sounding.
The cover is insane. Look
Yeah.
at the guy's a giant and all the people are real little.
It's like those Catholic paintings you see in the Vatican. I went to the
Inquisitions, yeah.
Everyone's getting killed and like they all look like cherubs getting stabbed, and it's such a creepy
There's
album.
no blood on the cover or nothing, you know. I mean, you know, your death metal people would have wanted. Why didn't we use that painting? We could have had fun with that. Witchfinder General or something like that. But anyways, yeah, I'm not into death metal. I don't know anything about it. Where did I leave off? Oh yeah, Maxum, the title cut, number 3. I just love it, right? And Buddy makes me cry. When I found out what Buddy was about, I just absolutely lost it. And for those that you don't know, that was his tribute to Jimi Hendrix. He actually wrote a song about him like they were friends.
Oh.
I mean, I've done that, not wrote a song about them as friends, but I mean, I've thought of John Lennon and Paul McCartney as my friends because I listen to them to death, right? But this was just so moving and just beautiful. And then for number 1 off that album, I chose Magic Man. It's really short, but God, it's a killer song. It sounds like something Jimmy would have wrote right off of The Cry of Love.
He was right in that mode.
Mm.
Yeah. And then my number 3 is, go back to Child of the Novelty. What a cover. That album cover is unbelievable. And I looked at that. I used to just stare at that, but I never owned it. I would stare at it at Tower Records and stuff, and I would ask myself, why don't I buy this? But I was so into prog, I didn't really care that he sounded like Jimi Hendrix. But anyways, Chains of Space is my number 3.
Good one.
Really love that. Number 2 is the title cut, Child of the Novelty. And number 3, I chose Through the Milky Way, which I believe is the opening cut. No, it's not. Looking Out. Oh, by the way, on the back of that album, you'll notice he's playing a Fender Stratocaster.
Ah, he hadn't gotten into his SG thing yet, huh?
I don't know if it shows it on that particular album. I saw it on Discogs, but yeah, no, I don't think he had got to the SG thing yet. Which is, if he's doing a lot of whammy bar work, it'd explain it though.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, moving right along. 2, I chose Strange Universe.
Okay.
God, what an album. Oh, I love this record so much.
I don't have the prop.
Yeah, the cover is just breathtaking. There's so much going on there. I love how that, it reminds me of a UFO coming in for a landing, with a sad face.
Yeah, the moons. Yeah.
Well, I see them as flying saucers when they're crying because of our world is so goddamn polluted with everything. But
the crazy album cover, man.
Yeah, we feel sorry for you, but there's not much we can do. So I go with Strange Universe, the title song. for number 3. Number 2, I chose Tales of the Spanish Warrior. Oh my
Okay.
God, everything you said about it, Jim, it is great, great, great. And for number 1, I chose Trying Anyway, because he does some more of that bebop jazz that he'll do later on Tales of the Unexpected.
Yep.
And I heard that live version on Real Live, and oh my God, that was insane.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nobody did that. No rock guys did that back then.
Not like that, no.
Not like that. I mean,
Alan Halsworth could do it, but he always had a different kind of tone.
right. But he wasn't a hard rock guy, really. Like,
Right, right.
Played
Unless you
stadiums
count what he did with Crocus. Have you ever heard that Crocus
No.
Address? Yeah, there's an album called Change of Address, and Alan Halsworth plays a solo on one song. I think it's called Change of Address. I mean, it's pretty weird. I like, you talk about an apple in a peach field.
Yeah.
But anyways, where did I leave off? Oh, my number 4, drum roll. 4. I chose 4.
Your number 1 is number 4.
My number 1 is number 4.
You
There you
said
go.
your number
Ray.
4 is number 4.
He,
This has been this
Drum roll
album
for
4 has been a play on words with a couple of us here.
Who's on first? Anyways,
4.
yeah, you know, it's so funny. I chose Dragonfly for my number 3 song, but when Jim started talking about Moonwalk, I was thinking, I'm gonna do a pardo and say Dragonfly and Moonwalk, my number 3.
Moonwalk.
Number 2 is Little Sexy Annie.
that's
Wow.
awesome.
God, the energy on that song is just off the chart.
I know.
God, this is so cool. I love it. And I'm gonna go number 1, The Answer.
The answer's got to
Just
be
the
number
way he
1.
does that octave thing in the beginning, and then he changes, like, here's for the musicians, E minor to E flat major. What a chord change. Oh my God.
If you didn't put answer in the top 3, you weren't going to be on next week.
I love
And on
that.
the live version, the classic Frank, yeah, you know, when he- I
Yeah.
love that. He's so badass. God.
And I will reveal Pete Pardo's number 1 and number 1 song if I'm allowed to.
Sure, I want to hear it.
What is
4,
Pete? What
4
what
is
would
his
it, what,
album.
Pardon?
Yeah, he chose 4 because I saw his.
oh, so you were the same. Pete would have picked 4 if he couldn't make it tonight. But
I
yeah,
saw
okay.
Yeah, I saw his ranking the album show.
No, okay, yeah, he's done that already. I'm
And
sure.
I also saw his top 10 songs, which I know is the answer is his answer.
The answer is just
Right.
amazing. So
Which
the live
version,
album?
though? The live Mahogany Rush live version or the 4 version?
I think it was off of 4. I don't know.
The
You'd have
live
to-
version is so
You'd have to
great.
check. You'd have to check that video out. It's called Top 10 Songs of Frank Marino.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
ladies,
Yeah.
Heat on about everything. So
He
cool.
was the reason that I wanted to get more into this band, because he had done those 2.
Oh, cool.
Really
of
got
course.
me going with it. You know.
Pardo's
Also,
the king of these things for sure.
For
he's,
sure.
I don't know. He's like
If there was no live album,
he's
number
like the
4.
George Martin of all these videos. I want to push this.
yeah, I started
That's a great
watching
one.
mine tonight.
God, if you're watching this show and you don't own this, get it
Get it.
before it costs $1,000.
6 hours of Frank.
10.
Nice.
And
A lot of work went into the production to make
And
sure
he
that
did the whole
got it.
thing in one swoop.
Well,
one show, yeah.
I guess I better give my picks before I forget to do them. And somebody says, "Hey, Keeler never gave his picks."
Do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush. Do I do that okay? But
There you go.
mine, I'm gonna include my number 5 is gonna be Juggernaut. I don't have a prop. I remember that album coming out in 80. Well, I think it was 82, and that was
I like that album.
that was one of his strongest releases, I believe. You know,
There you go.
yeah, he's got the
His
backdrop
biggest
there.
song. His biggest
And
song.
I don't have it in front of me because I was only doing 3, but I joined in with the fun for 5. So I'm not going to mention too many tracks off of there, but I don't have it in front of me. My number 4 is going to be World Anthem.
There we go.
Yeah. My number 3, which could be a number 2, is The Tales of the Unexpected. It's tough for me to go with this. I probably listened to this more than any record except for the live album, and I didn't include it in my list. But I'm gonna go with the song "Tales of the Unexpected." From that, it just blisters. It blisters your face off. But it's so smooth and it's so great. And Sister Change is another one I just love. And yeah, the second side is a live album, but there's not much better than Down, Down, Down. I just love that song. And I mean, I love all the songs on here. Bottom of the Barrel, The Door of Illusion. Who doesn't want to go through the door, open that door of illusion, right?
That's a good.
And so that was my number 3, right? My number 2 is 4. 4 is 2, 2 is 4. And
6.
This was not up as high when I started working on this because I was just thinking of Tales and the live album, but I'm going with this one, and I love The Man at the Back Door for some reason. It's just I got that in my head now. I've been listening to, like the other day I was out here doing show notes for something else, and I just kept flipping this album over and over, you know, like instead of getting up and changing it, I was just playing it over and over again. And The Answer has got to be my favorite song on the album. It's probably my favorite song by him. I like Jive Baby too, and I mean Dragonfly is just badass. So
yeah,
Frank Marino and the words "badass" go together. The guy grew up playing guitar. Got Denny Barth to like rock music because he thought he could get chicks. We've heard this from many stories before. And my number 1 is, some of you guys have ranked it lower, is What's Next.
What's Next is a good one.
What's Next? I'm a Race fan. So I'm totally into this album. I mean, You Got Livin' kicks off, and it's just a great, great song. And Finish Line, because of the racing thing, and I'm at the dirt track races, not always drag races, but it just related to me with the racing and the cars. I grew up, I had a 74 Duster, so I probably could have drag raced Frank if I was in the neighborhood back then. But I had a 360 Duster, had 2 of them back in those days. Something's Coming Our Way could be the best song he ever did, I think.
It could be.
That's awesome.
And Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is badass too. And Mona's not bad either, you know. So my number 1 is What's Next, and
Very solid record.
Man,
Is that a Mustang on there?
What's
Is that
that?
a Mustang?
It's I think it's a Vega.
Oh,
It's hard to tell because it's not a. It looks like it's a. Yeah, it's hard to tell what that
like
is.
a
I should
Vega.
know
They
since
used to-
I'm saying how much I'm a race car buff. But Danny, what's that car on there, Dan? What car is that? Because it's not like a.
Forget. It's like
not-
looks like a 442 GTO maybe, or
It's
little.
definitely like when that
little car.
transition car wasn't like a real, you know, classic one where you just say, oh, it's a Charger, a Challenger. You said he had Dodge Darts at the house, but
well, I know he was spinning wheels with one. I never knew if it was his or not.
So I don't know.
That's
Did
1980, right?
Frank actually drag race competitively? Was this actually hit? This is a good question. Maybe our viewers will know if we don't know. Did he actually drag race? Was this his actual drag car? Did someone make
No
a
idea.
Frank Marino Mahogany Rush drag? Because this is not a street car. This is a car that's going down the strip.
I know. Look at that engine.
Or a funny car, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a pro stock, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it says race engine on it. It's got it says Frank Marino Mahogany Rush. I mean, it could have been just done for the shoot, and these guys were pretending. But I mean, actually, with Denny's knowledge, these guys were what we want to call greasers back then. They had souped up cars, and I mean, they were living the 70s lifestyle, which brings me back to a special place because I'm an old man. I'm the
You and me both.
it was great. I just did an episode before this on Pantera, and I had a 14-year-old, so I had the youngest guy ever on the file. So he was a drummer in a band. So, but anyhow, I'd like to thank everybody for coming on, and this was a special episode that I've been wanting to do for quite a few weeks. And even last summer we were talking, and Denny before Frank fell ill, we were really talking about having an interview with Frank on the channel. And of course, at least we were able to pay homage to him. Hopefully the guys get to see this from his band and know that we're thinking of him and we love Frank Marino. What are you showing us on your phone?
WikiLeaks or somebody says it's a Dodge Omni.
Oh, similar to a Vega. It's a smaller car.
And it says the car is for sale.
Oh, it is.
2017. It's 5 years ago. It's probably gone now.
Hey, Denny, there you go.
Hey, Steve, I think it's as much as we all love Frank, I think it's the Jimmy and Paul deserve a lot of mention because
yes,
Frank never sounded better than he did with those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yep. Jimmy was hell of an insanely good drummer. Paul's an incredible bass player. The three of them, that was magic as far as I'm concerned. I like the Frank Marino solo stuff, but those guys were a magic combination of that was a great, the band was so great. And they totally
there they are, right?
Props.
There they are.
Jimmy is an incredible drummer, man. And they're both amazing.
Well said, Jim.
An incredible band.
You guys know that the extreme metal band The Agonist. The guitar player Sebastian Marino. He's Frank's nephew.
No kidding.
Check it out. The Agonist. I think he's Vince. He's Vince's son.
Oh wow!
You guys should check it out because he's an extremely talented guitar player, and it's not the same guitar player, but I can always feel through those notes. There's like some Marino-ish going on to it. Check it out, The Agonist from Montreal. Sebastian.
I have seen them. In fact, The Agonists were famous because that's where the vocalist that's in Arch Enemy currently came from, right?
Exactly.
Which, boy, help me out. My brain is not thinking of her name.
She's dating Doyle from.
Yeah, she's in a relationship with Doyle from the Misfits. Yeah. Alyssa White.
Yes, Alyssa. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Gloves white. Yeah.
Well, anyhow, it's a small world. Let's wrap it up. It's getting long. And thanks everyone for joining us tonight and talking about Frank Marino. And please put your Frank Marino moments in the comments and all that good stuff, and hit subscribe, hit like. And before we run, Jim, your band is actually coming to play here in Poughkeepsie up by us with and let's tell us about, you've got two bands, so let's wrap it up with that tonight.
I've my band Hitman, which we've been around since 1985.
Okay.
Took about a 30-year break and came back in 2018 and went to play the Keep It True festival in Germany and Up the Hammers in Greece, in Athens.
Wow.
We got back together. We started doing stuff again. We made a record, came out last 2020 called Destroy All Humans. It's Hitman with 2 T's. And if you go search for it, you'll find the rapper Hitman. That's not us.
Okay.
But it's Hitman with 2 T's. And we got asked to open up for Queensryche at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, which is a band that we always get associated with, that we love.
Yeah.
And after all these years, we finally get to open for them. So April 3rd, we will be at the Chance in Poughkeepsie.
Nice.
With, Queensryche. And we are, there it is. There's the album. We're super excited. If anybody doesn't know, a lot of people don't know what the band is sort of a Queensryche, Iron Maiden, Priest, kind of traditional classic metal.
Yeah.
Our new record still sounds very traditional metal. Came out in 2020, a lot of great reviews, especially in Europe more so. But so I'm super because I'm gonna get to meet you guys too. So hopefully,
I hope I can make it out to that. And if you're close enough, I hope you can stop by the shop, man.
yeah, if we come up on Saturday and stay up on Saturday because the show is Sunday, I would like to come by the shop.
Oh, I'd love that.
Not up to me. I'm not driving. I'm just
Yeah.
along for the ride. But super excited to be doing that. And yeah, my other band I have is a band called Cult Stars from Mars, which is my old band Fuzz Bubble kind of reunited. And we just mostly make music and put it out in videos and stuff like that. You can find that too. But yeah, anybody in the Poughkeepsie, Hudson Valley area,
For sure.
Queensryche Hitman. So
we'll put all your info in the show notes on the description too. All right.
Cool. Right on. Thank you. And
all
thank
right,
you
guys.
for being on, man.
Well, thanks for joining us. And hey, we got Rick Labonte's CD too. So Rick's got a CD out too.
Oh,
So I just didn't want to go too crazy. And of course, Denny Barth with Aggression. He's coming to New York to perform too very soon. Right, Denny?
June 17th.
June 17th, and we will be back
Rage
on your talk.
of Armageddon Festival.
Nice.
Destroy some eardrums.
Boom. All right.
Awesome.